Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome back to the channel where we show you that trading is as easy as you make it on yourself. Today, we're just going to be doing a quick review of last week's trades, kind of going over what that looks like, show what that performance is, and kind of go over the first quasi quarter of the year. Now, mind you, wait, before I start yapping, obviously the disclaimer, nothing on this channel is investing advice. We already know this is for entertainment and educational purposes only. It is not to be financial or legal advice. I don't have that little special screen up today, so I've just got this. I wanted to kind of go over some of the chop because we know there's a plethora of YouTube channels out there and people who are trading, who are good traders but not necessarily profitable, who are profitable traders but not necessarily good traders. And that is always that kind of finite balance of the management, the trades you take, the tilt, the going overboard, and especially if you're in the prop industry. So if you're in this prop space, it's a whole nother can of worms. But that's kind of the point, right? Is how do you become a good trader and profitable? Because if you're profitable and not a good trader, you can't sustain it, meaning on the prop firms, you don't get the payouts. And on your personal, you're going to eventually run out of capital to keep refreshing and replenishing that account. If you're a good trader and not profitable, how do we tune that in a little bit more to kind of get more profitable, right? To get more disciplined enough to get over the psychological and emotional aspects that are stopping you from being profitable. So with that in mind, I want to just real quick go over kind of, this is what we're doing since, what is that? The 7th was our first meeting this year. So not quite the full 3 months, but you guys get the idea. This is the last trades we're taking on the 13th. I'm going to be traveling a little bit in Europe. So this was a good time just to kind of review the performance and say, what are we doing as a community in the last few months? This is what we've accomplished trade-wise. And then we'll go over a couple of other things we've accomplished as a community as well. So last week we got chopped up quite a bit. And actually the week before, quite a few losses, came out net positive, but barely in terms of performance, not in terms of monetary value. I mean, performance. Didn't always follow the rules. And you can see where that kind of definitely messes you up. But sometimes you follow the rules and you do get messed up anyways, right? But that's sizable. So this loss that we took this week followed the strategy and it was a mechanical loss. So for this loss this week, I'm proud. I was a lot more protective, so had quite a few more entries in terms of what we were working on. I think for peace of mind, I went back to taking some of these trades on my previous brokers that are in the Forex space or what have you, because those trades, when I'm right on the direction, when I'm confident that I can give this trade room to play out and I don't have to micromanage it or wonder if it's going to close by 5 p.m. or 4 p.m. or whatever it is per that broker, when I don't have to holy gosh, what is Trade of 8 going to do in terms of these pending orders? I have the room to just take that trade. So when the trade was a longer term direction, I took these also in the other brokerage accounts, which allowed for much greater profits than just the future space. So that was kind of cool. But we went ahead and broke even here, barely, not much. I paid fees. I mean, I literally got break even on this trade. Didn't protect a little bit. I'm working toward not doing that. Next trade, we got a little bit of that. We've got the measured portion of that move. Obviously, ES doesn't have as much of a point count, but 1% risk is 1% risk, right? So if you're taking a 1% trade on ES and 1% trade on NQ, the biggest difference is I just have more room on ES. 1% risk is still 1% risk. On my personal AMP account, I'm not at 1% risk. I'm risking a much closer to about 5% per trade to kind of give you an idea. We know that's very high, but in the future space, you don't have as much leverage. It's a little bit of a different industry. Again, I'm also going to be out of those trades a lot quicker, so I don't have to worry about swaps as much and other things. It just gives you that privilege and benefit and drawback that comes with both for taking that larger size. NQ, again, this is MNQ that we took. It was actually in ES, like the full size contract ES, the mini, not the micro, when we were also managing this. I don't mind this loss because it was mechanical. So fair and square, cool. And then of course we ended up taking a lot of trades on Tuesday and then only 2 on Thursday. Same concept. I did lock profit as in I scaled out of a portion of it. So I not only moved to break even, but I also closed out of a portion of that trade around 44 points. Definitely not a bad way to be. If and when the market stops swinging so violently, I'd like to get back to kind of just trading minis and saying, look, I'll get my 10, 20 points because that's more than enough of what you need. But in this case, we're on micros. So micros here as well. Beautiful move, caught the big move. And that's just kind of a review of last week. We will go over those trades here in a minute. But I've got this spreadsheet up again, just to kind of showcase and share the journey that we're on. We already know the all-time we've been at this for quite a long time. The good, the bad, the ugly, from Forex pairs. Most of the time it's been indices, a little bit of Forex along the way, and currency pairs. But otherwise you're looking at indices, and overall for many years, okay, we've been having a very good track record. Granted, it's much easier to have that 80% win rate, 90% win rate, give or take, when you have room to let that trade play out. It's a little harder. So I'm going to go back to the current one as soon as I get to the bottom here. It's going to take me a millisecond. Some of these weeks we were traveling, but 1.3 million pips. Obviously, that's a sizable amount. Notice how we had that 88% accuracy. Our average was about a 2.3 to 1. Again, your stop loss is bigger. Your take profit can't be as far away in general. So this is also including those kind of more break even or kind of lock profit, scale out kind of situations. But that's where we've been at. And I've stopped updating this as of 2025. So this is no longer as current. I wanted to show this and this with intention. When we go back to where we're at right now, notice how when I stop scrolling around, really excited about this here in a second, but our average R is increasing exponentially. So it's up quite a bit, right? It's up over 50% from where it was. And that was over the average of 5 years previously. So that's pretty cool. I'm really excited about that. It just goes to show that allowing your losers to just be a loser, like cut it, be done, and let your winner be the winner. Like don't get too nervous and scale out and get all the way out of the position or lock so much that you get knocked out of the position kind of thing. 3.4 risk to reward is definitely not a bad way to be. And that's averaging. You'll notice some of them are very big. That number is including, obviously, the times where, okay, you're down the 1%. But to give you an idea, this overall is including the good, the bad, and the ugly, the times where it's barely from 1 to 1, the times where it is the 5. So this is on average, and that's real talk. That's real trading. We're about 10 weeks into this, so this is our quarter review. We've had spring break. We've had we've had quite a few little things. I think there was holidays, there was a hurricane. There was, of course, holidays at the beginning. So not a hurricane this season. Who knows? I don't even know at this point, but there's always something. So 10 weeks, not too shabby. This is the performance now, but take a look. We are already up over 105% on the year, assuming you risked 1% per trade. Assuming you risked 1%, and most of you guys on your prop firms, you're not doing a 1% trade on your $2,000 drawdown limits, and you're not doing a 1% trade on your $50,000 drawdown, or total account units. So most people are closer to 5. That's insane, right? If you do the math on this, that is pretty impeccable. And I'm super excited to see where this goes. I also want to talk about the 76%. I said last week, and I'll say it again this week, I would anticipate this to kind of continue to slide down a little bit, mostly because even when you're right on the trade, but you don't have the time to hold it anymore, it's time to shut that platform down and go to bed, or it's time you've got to leave the house. You're not letting this trade kind of just do its thing and play out unless you're on a platform like Project X where the stop loss and take profits are set and then you know that they can disappear properly. Well, even then you need to be out of the trade by 4:10, right? Or whatever time it is for those brokers. So for the most part, this is going to continue to go down. I would anticipate closer to 70% is kind of what I'm hoping to be at by the end of the year, is to meet or beat 70% throughout the year. I'm just super okay with that. But I'm going to take these two numbers, and here in a little while, we're going to kind of go over what that equals, whether it was your live account or your prop firm account. And I'm really, really excited about that. But let's take a second and go take a look at the actual trades we've been looking at. Okay, so here we go. Please forgive all the lines. For the most part, I don't remove any of the stuff on this particular template unless I'm in class. I mean, I might clean it up, but all these things are part of what everybody sees as a community and what we work on in our live meetings. But here are 2 of the trades that we took on Thursday. Notice I'm on the 5-minute time frame. All indicators are off. I'm going to pause there to say, in Six Figure Trading Coach, we have 3 viable, really good strategies. We've had quite a few people passing prop firms, a few people getting payouts, a few people just accomplishing their own personal next levels in their live accounts using our breakout strategy. We know that the internet is just filled with orb and 15-minute break and blah, 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 blah. And everyone has a different variation. We're using the 2-minute. We've got a cool little script that helps you with contract sizes and stuff. Obviously, there's a whole bunch of different ways you can do that. Of course, we're using pre-market highs and lows as levels, or of importance, pivots, quarter points, Fibonacci, the whole 9. Looking for those areas of interest as we've marked up on previous YouTubes. I've showed you kind of how I find those, and that's where I'm finding those targets for the most part. and just a really good R to R. So the blessing about that particular strategy, and that's the one we're going to be using today, that I'm going to be reviewing those trades, is I think it helps a lot. Back to that topic of you can be a good trader and not be profitable. I think the best part of a strategy like that is it compartmentalizes not only the time that you're trading, but it compartmentalizes the amount of trades that you're taking. It compartmentalizes so much that I think it solves for some of the other things that people experience. Whereas, yes, we have two other really good strategies, one that we're automating for TradingView as well as MT5. Actually, we have an algorithm already on MT4 that's working really well that I haven't yet released that has that as we coded this 4 or 5 years ago now, that it started with this concept. And of course, it's grown into a monster since then, but that one is going to be awesome. There's so many entries in a day, right? We've got JGSX is what we're calling it in terms of what we're using on futures. We've had a lot of people who have made 6 and even 7 figures now at this point using that strategy, who have just went on to do great things, passed prop firms and got payouts. That's our bread and butter strategy. Again, great strategy, very sound, duplicatable, systematic, can be mechanical if we can just handle the emotional, mental aspects. But back to the breakout, which is what we've been using here recently, it compartmentalizes. It strategically places it in whatever windows that you are going to be trading. And we do have quite a few inside the community. I think I have 4 right now that I think are just great times that you can kind of balance around your work, your schedule, your lunch break, whatever it is. You've got kids, you've got life. I only want to be in front of the computer at this time, good, bad, and ugly, and walk away. That's the purpose of this. Now, the hard part is walking away on the time you took a loss or didn't get what you wanted or missed some of the move. Don't go make bad decisions. But to give you an idea, this is that first MNQ trade. We got about 44 points out of it in total. Definitely not a bad way to be. I closed out of a vast majority here. Then I came back up to break even, and I was cool out. We ended up getting a re-entry again, coming all the way down. We caught a lot of points here, and then we came back into the halfway point of that 2-minute opening bell range and sold back down. So I ended up getting a total of 3 trades, class trades wise. We got 2 on that Thursday. And if I just keep going, please forgive all the trend lines and pre-market highs and lows. You'll see this loss that was not, here we go, that loss. This one was a week or so ago. Not following the rules, was a little bit overzealous and got our butts handed to us. Again, right on the direction. If you have this on your bigger accounts or different brokers, different trading styles, you ended up in net profit, actually big profit overall. I moved the screen to the side, but we ended up getting back in that afternoon that class period and took this for a great sell for the downside. Overall, great trade, not a bad way to be whatsoever, but that's MNQ. So we also did a little bit of ES this week. Class-wise, I wasn't focused on as much ES, just a smidge. And this is where we're at on ES. We got just that base hit and just not a lot out of it. We've got one here that was break even, should have been the easy one, but I overmanaged it, which sometimes we do, right? I overmanaged it, got wicked out, break even, and it came up to hit full targets. So not a bad trade overall. Great way to be. And I think we had one more on, let's double check. And of course, we've called stuff on gold and YM, and there it is. That was the loss on that Tuesday. So those are all the trades that we've taken this week. Of course, we have more of the good, the bad, and the ugly in previous weeks. We did clear the board. This was when we took the previous week before that. We've got 2 entries, both beautiful, perfect, broke structure, followed the breakout, easy, and then done and smooth sailing for the rest of the day, provided you don't go in and overtrade and make all those decisions again. So for the most part, it's been a lot of ES and all that good stuff. And MNQ, let me just double check. That was the one loss on ES. Caught this big one. I also took this on my other brokers where I can hold. We caught a banger of a move, huge amounts of move. We've taken quite a few of the big sells and the big buys, which is kind of awesome. Now kind of putting them back on both brokers has been a little bit of a breath of fresh air because it just feels like peace. It feels like, wait, this is kind of awesome. It feels like, wait, I can profit the way I know how and I'm good at, but also kind of build this other skill over here on this side in terms of prop firms and all the different situations as I still work to be able to make TradingView and NinjaTrader and Replicanto and everything work properly. Speaking of which, if you have any solutions for NinjaTrader or Replicanto or like making sure there's no ghost orders or tips or tricks, feel welcome to drop that in the chat. I would definitely jump on a Zoom with you or whatever, because let me tell you, it is definitely a new field in terms of how all that stuff works, because there's so many glitchy things on mirroring between Trade-of-8 and TradingView and Ninja Trader. You're combining all that. The mistake game is wild. It definitely goes hard, as the teenagers say. And it's a mess, but we're working on it. So that's what we've got in terms of the trades we've taken. Overall, beautiful setups, profitable setups. And that's really all that we're looking for, is just beautiful, profitable setups over and over again, allowing the losers to be the losers and going on with your life, because it's going to happen. There's no way around it. And that's kind of those trades. At the beginning of this video, we started with what we were doing in terms of the performance, right? I'd like to take those numbers and show you what that looks like. Now, before I show you what that 70 whatever percent looks like, and what did we say, 3.48 is what the risk reward is, I want to real quick just kind of go over what the community is doing. We've had quite a few people passing prop firms, people using a couple of the different EAs that are automatically trading and just producing profits. No, none of these things are perfect, but the idea is to have multiple streams of income, right? Multiple baskets, limit your risk, diversify your portfolios, and from that alone, it gives you the peace of mind to be a better trader. Because I'm definitely not the only one who will tell you it's a lot easier to go make money in trading when you're not desperate for those funds, when you're not desperately trying to make that kind of money. It makes it so much harder. So this is just some of the things that we have been working on. I am so honored and grateful to say we've had, I think it should be this chat, and now I'm probably going to break it. We've had quite a few people who have passed prop firms. I think I'm going to have to pick another one. That is another one. Super excited. And then if I go to different chats, you can just see there's people who are making waves, who are making it happen, who are doing the dang thing. Of course, we've got our public communities where everyone is just sharing ideas. Please make sure you join that. It's in the link tree below. And as always, if you're joining any of these prop firms or working with any of them, please make sure you use the links and discount codes in the link tree for the best possible discount. I believe right now Take Profit Trader is by far the cheapest on the market until Apex comes out with another 90% or 80% off offer. Even then, definitely check them out. Blue Guardian's really good too. They're in that link tree and you can go there. But this is an example of JGS. This gentleman right here has been killing it. And of course, we've just got all the things. So that's that. I know we've got a few more, but it's going to take me a few minutes. So people are automating the breakouts and all the things. So lots of different past prop firms. And yeah, now let's go take a look real quick at what that kind of accuracy can do for your live trading, right? That's what we want to talk about. Because ultimately, I do want people to have, their accounts that are printing some money on this side, this right here where they're learning this skill and they're honing in on it. And then of course, all the little things in between, because it just makes it so much simpler. Okay, so what did we say? We said we had about 76% accuracy, right? And we have a 3.48 to 1 risk to reward. So I'm bringing this up again because I just think it's the most educational thing and best example of what's possible. If you get over the whole tilt thing, if we get over the whole over trading, the whole going on just FOMO, greed, and all the things that go into trading, these obsessive, addictive, and all the other traits that seem to kind of come out personality-wise, hey, I wasn't very mindful before I took my trades. I didn't check the news. I didn't clean up all my platforms to make sure that they're all linked. I'm super guilty of that, especially linking so many different things on so many different firms and forms and brokers and screens. That's a lot of oversight, right? This is what's possible. So again, I'm going to use a basis of about $2,500. Actually, I'm going to mark that down to $2,000 because some brokers give you about a $2,000. Some people give you about $2,500, depending on the broker. I think it's Blue Guardian, or don't quote me. There's just so many of them out there. But I also am using $2,000 because most of us have access to $2,000 to some extent, right? I know people on the internet make it seem like it's impossible, but I was raised in a way, and I thoroughly believe that if it was life and death, all the business seminars, right? Most people can come up with and raise and or earn from whatever side hustle or ability $2,000 if it was life and death, if they put their mind to it, right? So that or a prop firm, those are in the link tree below, $50, $100, depending on which one you're using. So if you don't yet have any, we're giving some away every single week. We're giving away over $1 million in prizes in 2025. Please make sure you check that link below. All of the announcements every single week is going to be announced first and foremost in the Discord. There's a public free Discord. So click on that if you have not already done so, and maybe you can get your own free, completely free, $50,000 prop challenge that kind of will allow you to play with about $2,000 worth of drawdown. And I'm minimizing it on purpose. So again, I'm going to keep that at about 5% because, well, 5% is about what people are risking per trade, especially on these. Actually, I think most people are risking dynamically more, but I digress. Win rate. I'm going to go ahead and increase this, and I'm going to increase this. I'm going to back it back down, but I'm going to show you first and foremost what's possible. So we know our win rate was 76 and then 348. So let's back that back down. We're going to say 76, and this was 3.48. Okay. Whoopsie, 48. There you go. To give you an idea of what's possible, if you're only taking these trades, and I'm going to go ahead and just let this auto calculate. Remember, Monte Carlo is a simulation that will help wins and losses fall at random locations, because in real trading, wins and losses do fall at random locations. But this is the end result approximately after about 72 trades, provided you're risking about 5% per trade. I'm just going to bounce this around a little bit. So I'm going to hit F9. And all that's going to do, if you pay attention to this box, is it's going to bounce around that accuracy a little bit. But notice how none of these figures are less than 7. Some of them are 8, right? 7 and 8 figures is what is possible using your own capital, a little easier in my opinion, and or the capital given to you by a prop firm. Now, again, the hard part is the rules you have to trade within. The hard part is not going on tilt and the emotional stuff in between. But these are real things that we have accomplished, back tested, proved, recorded, the whole nine. Like, we have been doing this for the last quarter. Those are our real stats. So now I'm going to back all this down a little bit just to, again, demonstrate what's possible. I'm going to back this down as well. I don't believe most people are risking that small of an amount per trade on their Apex accounts, right? They aren't. Most people are risking a lot more than $100. 5% risk means you're only risking $100 per trade. I'm going to say that one more time. If you've got a prop firm and you don't know this yet, your $2,000 drawdown limit or $2,500 drawdown limit, 5% of that is only $100 or $125. That's all you're supposed to be risking at the very, very most. And so many people are over here risking hundreds and hundreds of dollars per single trade. So it's another one of those things. A good trader versus a profitable trader. Like, which do you want to be? At the end of the day, I think the most important thing people want is to be profitable. And you can be good and profitable. It's just going to take some work. So let's back this down a little bit. I'm going to assume it's live money and personal money and not a prop firm. I'm going to back this down as well, because life happens. You miss some, you overcarry some, you mismanage some. So the system came out on some, and life, we'll just say life is lifing, right? Life is lifing. I'm going to back down on this too, because again, you mismanaged some, you scaled out of some, you got wicked out on a news thing on some. So I'm going to back that down and even say a 3 to 1 with a 70% accuracy ratio, only risking 3% per trade. And now watch that number as we bounce around, kind of randomly calculate this formula. So even at a 75%, it's over $100,000, $70,000, $150,000, almost up to $200,000, right? But that's the kind of profit you could make in 72 trades. Now, assuming you're taking 3 to 5 trades a day. I mean, I think some people take way more, but 72 trades, we'll even say 5, is really 3-4 trading weeks. If you're taking 3 trades a day, it's 4 to 5 trading weeks. That's all it is to make this kind of money. Now, granted, I know it looks so pretty on the spreadsheet and it's a little harder to do in practice, mostly because of the other parts that come in, but that is pretty incredible. So my question for you is, if you were part of this community, and that those results are from our Discord community, if you're interested, please click the link below. Obviously, that's all going to go through Patreon. So if you have questions or whatever, you can email us or reach us out to us on Discord. And please be wary of scammers. There's never going to be a private thing I send you in private that is not in my link tree. So for the love of God, please do not get scammed. We've got people who've got scammed not once, but twice. And I really feel like that is not cool. At that point, not on me. Okay? So know that there's a lot of people using my name. Obviously, you're going to get a voice message from me. I'm never going to send you a private link that is not in public eye somewhere on our YouTube, in our communities, and or in the link tree. So never, 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 always be careful. But if you have questions, comments, or really are dead serious about accomplishing this, please make sure you reach out, because as a community, that's what we're looking to build. Now, mind you, give me a little bit of a grace period as we're traveling for the next week and a half or so, 2 weeks in Europe, but I will be available when and if needed. So my last question, going over the results that we just shared, just over our performance review. If you did this with your own personal funds, didn't get it all right, and failed at this by 50%. Is $50,000 in 3 to 6 weeks still worth learning this skill? So again, we've backed it down. We'll back it down again. We'll say 2.5%. We'll say 2.5 risk to reward. I'm going to back it all the way down. Is $33,000 in, what did we say, 3 to 6 weeks? And at $33,000, that's all it is, okay? Probably costs you money to get set up. You're going to fail some challenges along the way. There's going to be lessons and hard knocks. But $33,000 in 6 weeks, is that worth your time? Is that skill set worth maybe taking it serious and learning? And yes, it's a very emotional ride. I've got people in some of the communities that are just sometimes at wit's end because they're trying and they're serious, but they keep making the emotional decisions, right? But my last question before we head out for the week is just this. If you failed at this by 50%, even this number is $15,000 in the next 3 to 6 weeks, worth you learning this skill and maybe taking it seriously. That means not gambling on all the prop firms, overdoing it and buying a new one every day. That means saying, hey, wait, I'm going to get serious. I'm going to get with a community or a mentor that can actually, or a course, or it doesn't have to be me. It can be anybody else. Just pick one person and I'm going to stick with it long enough that I get really, really good at this. And that's that. So I'm on a journey for this year, 2025, to get really good at futures. And the company itself, to give you an idea, has built quite a few cool scripts. We've got a little bit of automation coming that will work for your futures as well as other brokers. Your stock it should work on Robinhood and Moomoo, depending on which account you have linked, because Moomoo doesn't link the live account for some reason on TradingView, at least last we found out. But it will work on almost any kind of account. And of course, we've got some automation. We've got a couple of manual trading strategies. We've just got a great thing that we are building within our community. But my personal goal is to not only help at least 1,000 people get payouts from prop firms, but I also would like to get, as a community, just a community full of like-minded people who are on this journey, because trading is a lot of fun. It's a lot of stress. It's really hard. It's a lot of self-growth, but it also can be very lonely. So finding that right place where you fit in and where you can kind of open up and just stick with it until you get there, which might be 3 weeks, it might be 3 months, and for some people it might be 3 years. But that again is all part of the journey. So as we perfect the futures model and all the prop firm space, I still think your personal capital is always going to be the best for multiple reasons. And I can do the math on that another day. But either way, there's so much potential in this industry. I think it is worthwhile learning this skill set because you can apply it to so many different things. But with that in mind, happy week, everyone. Thank you all for watching. As always, if you have questions, comments, concerns, let me know. And if you like this video and find it helpful, please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you on the next one.